some speculation this week that maybe the giant baseball people did not get as high as a 2016 payroll number as maybe they thought they were going to get from the giant ownership group. Now, we had Bobby Evans on the show yesterday. Of course, I asked him this question, and of course, he's not going to say the ownership group is cheap or we're not getting enough to build. He's just not going to say that. But let me ask you, I mean, do you think that the Giants will spend every dollar right up to the the luxury tax threshold, or what where suddenly they have to pay a punitive charge? Or do you think that the owners would like to pocket some of their revenue, and that they're going to try to lean on maybe a Maxwell or a Williamson Parker combo and left? Maybe instead of going after Greinke and Price and Zimmerman and big name free agent pitchers, that maybe they'll go the trade market and be more willing to trade prospects for younger guys. Larry Baer did go on television on Comcast last week and talk about how the Giants are keenly aware of how problematic some of the big money contracts have been for the top tier free agent pitchers, very much sounding like they were afraid to jump into that market. Well, a lot of us are kind of speculating that that's exactly where they're headed. How do you see it?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to fight. I get the same vibe. I don't think they're going to fight dollar for dollar for a Price or a Greinke or a Cueto, even a Zimmerman. We'll throw some margin in there as well. He's elevated his rank this week with his innings pitch and all that. People like him a lot more this week. I don't think they want to do it. I truly don't think. Now, if something falls into their lap where they can get someone like a Lackey maybe for 2 years or something like that, they will consider it. But I get the same vibe you're getting, and that is they're not going to go dollar for dollar for the $160 million guy like Lester was last year and try to go at it another way. Now, if something falls in their lap later on where someone can sign for a 1-year deal, a 2-year deal, or even a 3-year deal at reasonable money, they may do it. But my take is what you're explaining, and that is I don't think they're comfortable going after $200 million.
Well, I mean, how could you fault him, right? Matt Cain's contract, bad contract. Barry Zito's contract, bad contract. Heck, Tim Lincecum's contract the last couple of years, bad contract. They've gotten burned on some big money, bad contracts for starting pitchers. I guess if I were a general manager, my whole philosophy would be pay the position players, try to develop as much talent as you can, and trade for starting pitchers earlier in their career path, so that you're not paying the crazy dollars. I mean, Greinke could be great, but if Greinke has an elbow twinge in May of 2016 and you've signed him through 2023 at $30 million, you are even with all the revenue they have, Marty, they're dealing themselves a dramatic blow that's going to hurt them for years to come profoundly. And I think they're keenly aware that they don't want to go down that road or take that kind of gamble.
I think you're right. I think they've changed their attitude on this. Maybe in September, October, it was different. I think the group that spends the money has probably said, look, it's not a great idea to do it. And I think they're going to push Bobby Evans into what you just described. So how do they do it? The other team that's very much in the news this week is Cleveland. Cleveland's got a ton of pitching, a lot of young pitching. Just today, Ken Rosenthal or someone was throwing out there that they would trade Carrasco to the Dodgers for Puig, and Puig must go. Kershaw, apparently through Andy Van Slyke and Doug Van Slyke, has said that Puig must go, according to the reports today. So the Giants should get in on this Cleveland thing, because Cleveland's got 5 or 6 starting pitchers in just the ages we're talking about. I think Cleveland is something that you talk about. Atlanta, they ought to get on speed dial to Cleveland as well.
Yeah, no, I'm a big Danny Salazar fan. Carlos Carrasco, a lot of people feel like he's a dark horse American League Cy Young candidate for 2016, that he had such a great second half. And the other guy, they still have Trevor Bauer, the former Diamondback, is there. They have, of course, Corey Kluber, who is a very accomplished pitcher and whose contract is still quite reasonable. Yeah, they got some nice pieces there, Marty. That might be a good fit. Now, I don't know what exactly they're looking for in trade going back. And it's going to be interesting to see, what is attractive to other teams from their perspective. I asked Bobby Evans this week, who do you get asked about a lot? And he said Andrew Susac and Tyler Beatty, and a lot of their infielders. Very interesting stuff. Let's finish with the absurd. Okay, we've talked about interesting stuff. Now let's finish with the absurd. Aubrey Huff says he's coming out of retirement at 39. Marty, he wasn't good at 34. He wasn't good at 35. Will he be better at 39? And maybe more importantly, will somebody give him a non-roster invite to spring training with a chance to make a roster? Or do you think that at 39 there'll be nobody kicking tires on Aubrey Huff? And what did you first think when you heard that story?
Well, I thought it was tied to some commercial product, that he was taking some sort of supplement or something, or he's in some sort of philosophy, that he wants to promote. It's something being promoted other than Aubrey Huff coming back as a baseball player. He's through. There's no question he's through. I don't think anybody would bring him in for 10 seconds. He would have to have all these workouts and show the bat speed. But no, I think this is a publicity stunt. And if you get behind it, there's some product behind him that's pushing him to get in the limelight right now.
All right. I can't imagine it's a legitimate report. I can't imagine anybody would have any interest. I don't see what the guy does well at this point. Hey, why don't we, instead of finishing with Huff, why don't we finish with an up note? Ray Black is an interesting guy. Now, I saw some of the video from the Arizona Fall League. You're down in Arizona right now. Tell us about Ray Black, and I know he's had physical problems. I know he's got a big arm. 104 miles an hour on the gun. How viable is Ray Black being on, at AT&T in 2016? How viable is that for Giants fans?
Well, it depends on the need. It depends on George Santos. It depends on, of course, Cody Hall. It depends on Strickland and people like that, Michael Broadway. So he's got to jump over a lot of people. But let's see what he does in spring training. He's got to be healthy and come to spring training. And if he does, as I say, you want to have that 6-inning game, those 3 flamethrowers who come in. I think Ray Black is absolutely in the mix. He could be trade bait over the winter, but I think his destiny will be determined on what they do over the winter in trades and with the bullpen they have. He's not going to knock Strickland off just for the heck of it. Contos looks like he, is a good veteran. They'll bring him back. Broadway maybe a little vulnerable. Cody Hall a little vulnerable. People like that. So Black could jump over a few of them. But look, come on. The guy does 104. You imagine sitting out there and being at the ballpark and the guy throws 104, what that's going to do. If he can get it over the plate, I think he's got a big future, obviously.
Man, Marty, times have changed. I can remember when we used to say, this guy throws 95 miles an hour. Now everybody, heck, the ushers may throw 95 miles an hour at the ballpark. Now it's like, even if you say a guy throws 100, it's like, yeah, so what? We got 3 other guys in the pen who throw over 100, and this guy can touch 105. The velocity that we're seeing on these arms coming in pro ball, it's the jump in the velocity is staggering. And to see entire bullpens like the Cardinals have, where every guy down there is throwing 96 or harder, it's a new world.
Look at Eric Cordier. He was almost 100, and he ended up, they had no room for him. He ended up with the Marlins. He's still down there. I think it's amazing. If you can get a guy, Larry, the story of Major League Baseball is consistency. That's the Panic, Duffy, Crawford, Belt not there yet. Hunter Pence, who, developed into it, Posey, Lincecum, Kane, Bumgarner. You got to be consistent. Romo. We could go through the whole team. They won 3 titles because they're consistent people. When Bochy presses the button, he knows what he's going to get. If Ray Black can show that he can do that, I think he's, it's unlimited. But you got to show you can do it in the big leagues. And we've seen guys come up and they look terrific, and then all of a sudden they can't find the plate, and you can't go down the stretch with people like that.
Steve Blass, remember Steve Blass back in the day?
How about Steve Dalkowski?
Oh, there you go.
Steve Dalkowski, the Orioles, harder than anybody ever, and he just could never find the plate. So there have been people like that all over the place. And they used to say to people like that. If high and outside was a strike, you'd be a Hall of Famer.
Exactly. All right, Marty, good stuff. And, of course, people would need to go to KNBR.com on a regular basis because every Thursday during the off season, Marty and I will go face-to-face and we will break down hot stove stuff. And hopefully next time we talk, there'll be actual Giants transactions to break down. We got the little Kyle Blank's initial deal out of the way, but I have a feeling this is going to be a very entertaining offseason. I think it's going to provide us with lots of topics and lots of good stuff to chew on. And Marty, you're the best. Always love talking ball with you. Enjoy your day. If I don't talk to you before next week, because next week on Thursday, of course, is Thanksgiving. Have a phenomenal Thanksgiving. We wish you nothing but great health and eat well. And I'm sure we'll catch up and talk more ball in the coming weeks.
Hey, I like that.
I like the hat. If I need a ride to the airport, I'm calling you. Good stuff, Marty. Take it easy.
Take care.